All right, big win here tonight for the Alabama Crimson Tide, heading to Death Valley, knocking off the LSU Tigers. This is big because Alabama really needed this in order to put themselves in college football playoff contention. The new 12-team format, they've already got their 2 losses. They could really not afford a third, but this was a huge game. Big win for the Alabama Crimson Tide. Jalen Milroe coming through. Let's just kind of go through everything, break it all down, why this is important, and why I think Alabama really proved that they're about to start playing their best football that they've played all year, heading into the later part of the season, and that is really what you want from your football team. So let's just break it down. So, like I said, I think everybody that is an Alabama fan, college football fan, and I think even the team, if you were to ask them, everyone knew that this was a must-win tonight if Alabama wanted to keep themselves in playoff contention. You lose a third game, you're dropping probably out of the top 20 with losses to South Carolina. No, not South Carolina. Although that game did almost seem like a loss. Losses to Vanderbilt, Tennessee, and LSU, you're not staying in the top 20. I don't care who you are. That's 3 losses to non-top 10 teams, not top 5 teams, besides maybe Tennessee. But they came through in a big way, and it started on the very first drive. Jalen Milroe ended up taking a 39-yard touchdown to the house, and this would just set the tone and tell the story of the whole game. LSU could just not stop Jalen Milroe in the running game, and we know Milroe's a great runner. He's borderline just as good of a runner as he is a passer. I would argue he is a better runner than he is a passer. But yeah, 185 rushing yards tonight. That is just phenomenal. All 4 of his touchdowns coming from the running game. This was almost identical to the game that we saw last year between these two teams. The only difference being LSU just not having as good of a team as they did last year. That largely due to Jaden Daniels is not on their team anymore, and obviously he was a difference maker last year. But yeah, Bama putting up 42 points just like they did last year. 4 of Milroe's touchdowns coming from rushing touchdowns, just like they did. I nearly just ruined my whole set. I just punched the table for something. Why did I do that? But yeah, as I was saying, all 4 of Milroe's touchdowns coming from rushing touchdowns like they did last year. And man, he only threw for 109 passing yards. He really just cooked them with the running game. He had a phenomenal game. He just didn't do much throwing. He was 12 of 18, which is fine. He didn't throw any interceptions, didn't throw any passing touchdowns. This was really just a tale of LSU not being able to stop Bama's ground game. The running backs ate him alive. Haynes had a great game along with Jam Miller. Jam Miller went out with an injury, so hopefully he'll be okay. I think he ended up returning back to the game, but hopefully that's nothing too much to worry about. But yeah, this was not a tale of Bama just hitting deep ball after deep ball. They were just cooking them on the run game. Milroe was. The backs were, and the check down game was really good too. Every time Milroe completed a pass, it seemed to be a check down to one of his running backs, and those guys would just take up all of the receiving yards. And LSU's offense just never got started. Garrett Nussmeier just never got. He had a very quiet 239 passing yards, but he threw for 2 interceptions. Just not a great game from him. I think this does put LSU completely out of playoff contention. This was really a college football playoff eliminator game, in my opinion. One of these teams was going to lose and say goodbye to their chances, and I think that is going to be LSU tonight. And why I say that this is going to be Alabama heading into the later part of the year, playing their best football that they will all year, is they just looked like a very well-rounded team tonight. It wasn't just all offense, all defense. It wasn't all passing, all running. This was just such a well-rounded game. Milroe running the ball extremely well, obviously, but not making bad mistakes when it comes to throwing the ball. He wasn't just throwing interceptions or making bad passes. He was being smart, using his checkdowns, and if that means he doesn't hit a deep ball in a game, fine. I'll take the 42-13 win instead. Defense obviously played amazing too, limiting LSU to 13 points, and 7 of those 13 coming in trash tying when they're just kind of throwing up prayers towards the end zone, which they kind of did towards the end. This was a blowout. LSU not scoring. I don't want to say what. It was a legit touchdown. It was just towards the end of the game, who cares? So for the last 2 games, the defense has only given up 1 touchdown to LSU and Missouri, and those are 2 not pushover teams in the slightest. They're not championship contenders by any means, but it's not like they're garbage teams, which just really shows you that the defense is heading in the right direction as well. So to sum it all up, this was a must-win for Alabama, and they really did come through. They have 3 more games left on the schedule. They'll see Mercer, Oklahoma, and Auburn. 3 winnable games in my opinion, so I'm curious to see what the rest of the SEC does, because Bama might end up making the SEC championship game. I still don't even know how that works with there not being a West and an East anymore. I mean, I know it'll be the top teams, but like, how do they determine a tiebreaker? I should know this, but I don't. So I don't know. I know that if Tennessee were to win out and Texas were to win out, I think it would be those two teams. But yeah, I guess we'll just have to see what happens in the SEC. But that is all I've got. Thank you guys for watching. Another Alabama Crimson Tide W. And yeah, let's see what they do for the rest of the season, because I'm starting to become more and more optimistic about this team.